Well, I'm not sure if you can hear the neighbor and their chainsaw in the background, but on the bench here is the motor for a Necchi Lelia 513, or Necchi, whatever. This motor is a little bit interesting. It's got a panel on the side here to clean the commutator off for easy maintenance. I had to take this apart because this bearing on the commutator end is sealed, and whatever had gotten in there for oil had turned completely into glue, and this motor was locked up tight and would not turn. And I had to take it all the way apart. When I finally got the end out there and scrubbed it out with rubbing alcohol, that's when this rotor started to move on its own. So an important couple things as I reassemble this. Someone else had tried to open this motor up and do a little work on it, and they had lost these spring clips that hold the stator tight inside the body. So these pieces here are curved, and they need to set in place so that they are springing and pushing, in this case, down on the stator when you put the motor back together. So I have these set with their curve facing down, and then I put the washers and spacers back on in the order that I found them, and balance. Okay. Now I think this is when I should be able to get both of these to drop in. There we go. And then, like I said, when I got this, it rattled because one of those was loose, and so before I tighten those down, shake it, not rattling, they stayed in place. You can also see that with those springs in place, there's a seam in the case, and then when I tighten these down, those springs will compress and hold everything in place like they should, and that seam in the case should get smaller. So tighten this down and we'll see that seam go completely away as those springs compress, and then they hold the rotor in place properly. So this motor was locked up, probably, and the person who owns this got it open and didn't get it put back together properly. And now, with those springs in the right place and the glue, the old oil and goo cleaned out of the end here, this motor is spinning freely. So I won't have to find a replacement, I don't think, but we can give it a quick check here. And the brushes here have a groove on one side, and there is a key in the bottom of the brush guides for that groove. So you have to make sure you get the brushes in the right direction, or they won't stick out and touch on the commutator. which honestly that's the first machine I've seen with grooves on the brushes like this, but I thought maybe the grooves were related to the position of these white wires, but they are not. They do have a facing so that the brushes are both facing the same direction relative to the movement of the rotor. Okay. So one side the brush faced up and the other faced down, or the groove faced up and the groove faced down. So let's just reach and plug this in, and we should. Beautiful. All right. Put a drop of fresh oil on the other end of this, and then and don't forget the cap here. Definitely like the fact that this motor has a very convenient inspection cap here for cleaning the rotor. So easy to service and quick to get apart and get back together, but definitely make sure that those springs to hold the stator in place are facing the right way to keep the entire motor properly tensioned and aligned so it'll run well.